Hey guys, Luna here, and it's been a while since I did a Bleach chapter review. I apologize for not reviewing the last two chapters because of school, and now because of that, I'm behind. So it's time to catch up. While the battle between Kenpachi and Gremmy continues, two stern readers are watching on the sidelines, Naklevar and Pepe. Even though he is far away from Gremmy and Kenpachi, he doesn't want to get caught within Gremmy's imagination. Meanwhile, Kenpachi tells Ichiru to get her arm fixed up by Isane since he can still feel her Ryatsu. Gremmy acknowledges Kenpachi for being perceptive, however Kenpachi wonders if this is all that Gremmy can do. He tells Gremmy that he should fight seriously since he claimed to be the strongest Quincy, and that he shouldn't get distracted by anyone else aside from his opponent. While Gremmy uses rock pillars to attack Kenpachi, he contemplates over what he's told. He believed to be the strongest because everyone was aware of his abilities and no one dared oppose him. He never felt the need to prove himself by beating someone into submission, and yet he is starting to get the urge to annihilate Kenpachi into oblivion. Gremmy imagines a huge arsenal of guns and starts shooting at Kenpachi, and then he tries to finish it off with a couple of missiles. But the missiles got cut in half by Kenpachi and explode right in front of Gremmy's face. Kenpachi, on the other hand, comes out of it okay, and he's pleased by the expression on Gremmy's face, saying that he's finally made this guy really happy, referring to his Zanpakuto. I don't know if anyone said this, but it's about goddamn time that Gremmy took this fight seriously. And it took 3 freaking chapters to get to this point. I was kinda annoyed at first when Gremmy used rock pillars to attack Kenpachi, especially since he can cut the toughest steel, and he cut that rock pillar thing in the very first page of this chapter. But him summoning missiles and guns, that's actually an improvement. It didn't work on Kenpachi, but it's still an improvement nonetheless. And it's no wonder Gremmy didn't use the full extent of his abilities. He felt like he didn't have to because no one ever tried to oppose him because of his imagination. But honestly, ever since he was introduced, the only impressive thing I've ever seen him do with his imagination ability is creating Gwenheil. Oh, and turning Ichiru's bones into cookies. Sure, imagining water and lava is pretty cool too, but knowing that it's not gonna work on Kenpachi just makes it predictable, therefore making Gremmy's imagination seem lackluster. Now with Kenpachi, apparently ever since he learned the name of his Zanpakuto after he defeated Unohana, he's capable of sensing Ryatsu, which is something that he was never capable of doing ever since he was first introduced. As for the two Stern Reachers, well, at least we know what the hell Askin was doing this whole time ever since he left Squad 12 headquarters. I just wish he stuck around a little longer so that he could fight against Urahara. Now the second Stern Reacher, Pepe, I don't know what to say about his appearance really. He looks like an imp genie guy sitting on a floating disc with his eyeball staff, and he's got a funny little laugh too. However, this isn't the first time we've seen him. The last time we saw this guy was around chapter 545. However, Askin referred to him as Yajiuma. Maybe Pepe was either his nickname or his first name. And his very first appearance, by the way, happened to be in chapter 500. Now in chapter 500, Jidamba was being brainwashed to attack the research bureau. In one panel, there was a Stern Reacher watching all this happening. The only thing we saw, however, was his curly-toed shoes. And in this chapter, Pepe is wearing curly-toed shoes. So Pepe was a Stern Reacher who brainwashed Jidambo. We don't know his letter ranking or his abilities. His letter might be M for mind control. Even though this chapter was once again a short read, this was actually an improvement compared to the last two chapters, because Gremmy is finally going to take this seriously, and hopefully this fight will now become like a true Kenpachi fight. Thinking about what Kenpachi said in the previous chapter, Gremmy doesn't know whether he has a good expression or not on his face, but one thing he does know is that he feels fucking amazing. Kenpachi tries to attack, but Gremmy summons a giant black dome that shoots out spikes to protect himself, but Kenpachi, being Kenpachi, was able to cut it down and make contact on Gremmy. However, he can't pull back his Zanpakuto, so Gremmy uses this opportunity to summon a giant hand to squash Kenpachi. But it's no surprise that it doesn't work on Kenpachi because he just bursts right out of it. After getting hit once again, Gremmy realized that there was a delay in his attacks and healing, which which means that Kenpachi will without fail strike again. While getting sliced and diced by Kenpachi, Gremmy then wonders about the possibility of him losing this fight. But realizing that Gremmy suddenly stopped resisting, Kenpachi then asked him if he was imagining himself losing. This managed to knock sense into Gremmy and then uses his imagination to heal his wounds, thanking Kenpachi, but then telling him that he will regret giving him a second chance. He then creates a clone of himself, but explains that through his imagination he is capable of creating life that cannot die. With that, his imagination has doubled and he decides to show Kenpachi his most powerful technique, a giant meteorite that will wipe out the Seireitei and everyone in it except for Gremmy himself. But this doesn't scare Kenpachi. In fact, he's excited because he never sliced a meteorite before, and he mentions the name of his Zanpakuto, Nozarashi. Oh my god. Yes! Yes! Kenpachi's Zanpakuto's name. We finally learn what it is called, Nozarashi. Now, according to the translation of the manga, it is referred to as Storm Scarred. Not sure what that means, but I am so looking forward to seeing its ability. Now, with Gremmy, I'm not sure what caused the delay within his attacks and healing, but it's probably got to do something with his focus weakness on his imagination. Also, only Kenpachi is capable of getting a boner over something that he has never cut before. Also, it's no surprise that Gremmy can create life, but the problem is he only created one other copy of himself. He said that since he created another Gremmy, his imagination power has doubled. Well, why doesn't he create 100 Gremmys and his imagination powers will be 100 times stronger? Why doesn't he do that? But that meteorite that he imagined, that thing must be huge if it's supposed to wipe out the entire Seireitei, which is freaking overkill if you ask me. I mean, not only is he going to kill the Shinigami, but he's also going to try to kill his comrades, the Stern Reachers. But I'm not expecting Gremmy to care for the Stern Reachers. Plus, I think he's going to believe that Yobak will survive from getting hit by meteorites. I think he just snapped after all this time he was fighting against Kenpachi. Also, is it just me, or have we been getting a lot of characters that can summon meteors? I mean, we had Madara from Naruto, Fujitora from One Piece, Midoro from Toriko, Jalal from Fairy Tail, and now Gremmy from Bleach? Is this a new trend in shonen manga? Despite this chapter being good, the problem I have with this is that the meteorite that Gremmy summoned is not gonna work. You don't have to read the next chapter to know that this attack is not going to work against Kenpachi, especially not Kenpachi, and it's so freaking obvious that he's going to destroy this thing. Well, despite that being predictable, I'm actually glad that Gremmy is actually trying to pull the stops on this one. I just hope this isn't really his most powerful technique and he's got more tricks up his sleeve, because if this meteorite is destroyed and that's all he has left, then once again Gremmy has become an incredibly disappointing character with the power of imagination. Maybe I'm expecting too much from him. As the massive meteorite slowly descends down to the Seireitei, Shinigami and Quincy alike look up at the giant space rock of death. Basby, Pepe, Ranji, and Askin, who said that they should have beaten the living crap out of Gremmy when they had the chance. However, one Shinigami was being optimistic and believes that the Shakonmaku will protect the Seireitei because any invasive objects foreign to the Seireitei area will be destroyed by the Shakonmaku. Well, considering this barrier has failed to stop not one but two Quincy invasions, it's no surprise that it does not destroy the meteorite. The Quincies and Shinigami all start to panic, including Haschwald, who has ordered a couple of Quincy guards to protect His Highness. Speaking of which, Yobak inside the Vandenreich Palace was looking out at the meteorite, his face concealed. Meanwhile, with Gremmy, he tells Kenpachi that if he somehow managed to kill him, it would still be futile because the meteorite has already become a reality. But Kenpachi, with a shit-eating grin on his face like a kid in Christmas, tells Gremmy that he's already ran out of tricks and jumps up right in front of the meteorite and activates his Shikai. Drink. Nozarashi. But before we get to see the Shikai, Gachiro gets a flashback of when she and Kenpachi first met, and then all of a sudden, the meteorite was blown up. The chapter concludes with Kenpachi's Nozarashi revealed to be a battle axe with a tassel on top. Okay, I know this is gonna split the Bleach fandom when Nozarashi was revealed, but I kinda like the style! Although I don't know why there's a tassel on top, but aside from that, I like the Shikai. I just wish I knew what Nozarashi's ability is. But judging by the command drink, maybe its ability is to absorb Reishi? I mean, it didn't absorb the meteorite because debris was falling down the Seireitei. Maybe its ability is to cut anything it touches. As for the meteorite, it was so freaking obvious it was going to be destroyed, but it was cool seeing everyone's reaction to seeing this thing. Especially Hashvalt, because if you make even this guy sweat, you know shit's about to go down. However, with Yuha, we didn't get to see his reaction or his face for that matter. He's probably thinking, why did I give this kid the power of imagination? He's probably regretting it right now. Also, I couldn't help but laugh at the Shinigami who thought that the shotgun Maku will protect them from the meteorite. I mean, if this barrier has failed to protect them from not one but two Quincy invasions, what makes them think that this barrier will protect them from a freaking meteorite? Seriously, when all this is over, I think they need to come up with a new sense of security other than this flimsy barrier. Although this kind of took up the majority of the chapter, and because of that, the chapter was once again another quick read. I mean, if you take out some of the unnecessary pages and combine this chapter with the chapter before that, you'd have one chapter right there. But on the plus side, at least we get to see Kenpachi's Shikai, and hopefully in the next chapter, we'll get to learn its ability. Alright, so that's all from Bleach chapters 575, 576, and 577. If you have any thoughts on the Bleach chapters, let me know in the comments below. With that being said, I'm going to spawn 27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.